Hey everybody, welcome back to the SharionSade channel. Thank y'all so much for being here for our live stream. Can one of you let me know if y'all can hear me okay? Let's see. It's good to see y'all. Thank y'all for being here in the middle of the day. I usually do these at like 6 o'clock. But since we moved back to Central Time and our schedules have changed, it's just easier to do them at 3. So I appreciate y'all adjusting. Oh, thank you so much, Tara. Said Tara Lovett. Thank you so much for letting me know you can hear me. Awesome. Uh-oh, I'm going in and out. Uh-oh. Let's see. Let me make sure y'all can hear me okay. Okay. I hope the in and out has stopped because I got sounds good and loud and clear. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so today we actually had 3 topics, but the second topic, I got a little carried away and I didn't want to keep y'all all day. So we're going to have more topics tomorrow. I'll just move those to our video tomorrow because I got a little carried away in the second one. I looked up and like so much time had passed when I was recording the segment and I'm like, okay, they're going to get rid of me. Like I can't be going over, but I hope everybody is having an amazing week. And I hope y'all had a really great weekend. And I know we haven't seen each other since before Valentine's Day. So I hope y'all had a good Valentine's Day as well. So today we're going to be talking about 2 main topics. For those of you who are following Meghan on Instagram, which if you are not, what is taking so long? Unless you don't have an account, then that's cool. Because I know a lot of people got rid of Instagram and I don't blame you because it's part of Meta. But for those of you who have an Instagram, y'all need to be following Meghan at Meghan. At Meghan. Do you know what kind of boss you have to be to just have one name at Meghan? It's not easy to just get one name. Even with my name, Sharion, there's like 6 in the whole wide world, and somebody had already snagged it. I was like, dang, I couldn't even get Sharion, but I did get SharionSade. So follow me too if you're over there. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about a video that Meghan posted to her Instagram stories, and we're going to be reading an article about it for some of the details that we might have missed. And then we also have to talk about an article that was written for Saga magazine. And it was from a royalist who actually wasn't a psycho. And listen, all royalists aren't psychos, but for some reason, royalists who weigh in on Harry and Meghan just completely lose their marbles. And so I rarely read articles from monarchists and royalists. I typically just am like, you are entitled to your opinion, and we're likely not going to agree. So why am I going to stress myself out? But this article was sent to me and they said, actually, I think you'll get a lot out of this. Read it on air. So I was like, you trying to set me up? You trying to get me caught? But no, when I did read it for the segment, it actually turned out they were right. So we're going to be talking about both of those topics. So in the meantime, y'all continue to light up the live chat with your opinions, and we will continue to keep the conversation going between segments. So for those of you who are new, I kind of run my live stream a little bit different. I do pre-recorded segments to introduce new topics to our discussion. And then once the segment is over, then we converse about it in the live chat and I respond to you guys live on screen. So I try to keep it that way because it keeps everything organized. A lot of times, if you leave it up up to me in the moment to like read an article or talk about a topic, we'll be here till 10 p.m. I'll completely wander off. Y'all know I am long-winded. So having a segment keeps us concise, precise, and I don't bleed over into other live streamers' time because I try to respect all the squatties so that everybody can have their segment during the day. So we've got a lot to discuss. Before we get into it, if you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like the video by hitting the thumbs up button. Please don't forget to subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. It's free. And feel free to share so that more people can find us and join us on the live stream. And throughout the entire video, if you're watching live, light up the live chat. But if you're watching on replay, don't forget to comment in the comment section below. So let's get to the first segment. If you are not following Meghan on Instagram by now, but you do have an Instagram account, what are you doing with your life? It's literally @Meghan. Go follow her. However, if you aren't following her, then it's likely that you missed her latest Instagram story, where she gives us a glimpse of her blooms, her flowers, the early buds of spring, and her backyard, and a couple of other things as well. Harper's Bazaar has the deets.
Only if you want me.
That was the series of videos shared to Meghan's Instagram stories. However, I still thought it would be fun to read the Harper's Bazaar article because it was written by one of my favorite reporters, Chelsea Sanchez. The title of this article is Duchess Meghan offers a rare peek into her backyard, and it's everything I imagined it to be. Nancy Meyers meets California Oasis. We're a little over a week away until Duchess Meghan's new lifestyle show, With Love, Meghan, hits Netflix. In the meantime, the Duchess is satiating our appetites for Nancy Meyers-inspired decor by offering a rare look into her Montecito backyard. On Sunday night, Meghan shared a series of videos to her Instagram story that seemingly captured vignettes of her own backyard oasis, complete with a lily pad-strewn pond, rolling green grass, fruit-bearing trees, and patches of bright flowers. It looked heavenly. When I saw that, I was like, I'm not surprised because we did see some clips here and there before, but it was just beautiful. And I don't blame her for taking a break for the weekend to soak it all in. I don't know how she gets any work done. I would probably be back there 24 hours a day, but our girl has a lot to do. Quote, a small break from work to soak in the weekend, she wrote over the first clip, which showed a tree blossoming with pink buds. The tree overlooked a small stone wall, hemming in a green lawn and a staircase that descended into another grassy field. Meghan shared a few more videos of the pink blossoms, a welcoming sign that indicates spring is finally on its way. She relished in the sunny Santa Barbara day by picking an orange off of a tree, then subsequently squeezing a slice into her drink. The camera panned to her outdoor patio setup, including a wooden dining set, a centerpiece of oranges, and a circular wooden cutting board, doubling as a tray. Meghan then hands the hose to one of her kids, who then expertly shoots water at the garden. Another throwback clip captured the Duchess's beloved pet beagle, Guy, walking on a grassy lawn and looking back at Meghan. Actually, I think that was Mia, because Guy has passed away. So I think that was actually Mia. She previously announced Guy's passing in an emotional Instagram post last month. Also, I do want to also point out, I personally think those little hands and arms belong to Prince Archie, but I could be wrong. We didn't see the child, but we could hear their voice, and I actually think that might have been Archie. See, those are the little arms. Well, I don't know, actually. See, that's the thing. I don't know, because kids at that age, like that young under 9 age, they do have little growth spurts. So you really don't know whose little arms could be whose. But according to me, I mean, according to the voice that I heard, I genuinely think that might have been Prince Archie. What do y'all think? Let me know. See, this is Mia. Elsewhere in the story, Meghan additionally included a brief video of herself walking outside in a purple sweatshirt from her alma mater, Northwestern University. The sweater happens to match a similar look previously worn by her late mother-in-law, Princess Diana, who nabbed her own Northwestern sweater during a visit to Chicago in 1996. Also, that's one of those things that I personally, because there's no way for Meghan to know in college that she would meet or marry Prince Harry. Like, she didn't pick her college because Princess Diana had gotten a sweatshirt. Like, that was just happenstance. But that's one of those things where when you look back at your life, you can slowly see how things were falling into place. And some things were truly destined. For myself, like when I have looked back, once my husband and I got married, you know, we shared more about like our upbringing and stuff like that. And it's so funny because my husband and I lived on the same street for like 7 years, and his sister, one of his sisters, was one of my classmates, and we had never met, but we were always kind of orbiting each other. Our colleges were also rivals. He played basketball, and he actually dropped 40 points on my team. And I was actually doing the official book for my for my college men's basketball team. And we did not meet then. Like our whole lives, we were like orbiting each other in a very, very weird way, especially considering the street that we grew up on was in Richardson, Texas. But in high school, I moved all the way to East Texas, Wills Point, Texas. And then from there, I took a year off of college, a year off of school. And then I went to college the year after. And then I picked a school just because I liked their curriculum, and it was a Christian college. And then he picked a college that wasn't even anywhere near us, only for our teams to end up being rivals. It's very strange. So whenever I hear about couples kind of having these interwoven moments long before they met, or having relatives that may have run into each other, or like little things like that where paths are crossing over one another, and these just very interesting coincidences, it's just confirmation to me that there's a lot at play all the time. Some things truly are destined, but one thing I believe fully in is you do not meet your soulmate until it's time. And so I just thought that was so interesting. As soon as I saw that clip of her wearing that Northwestern sweater, I thought about Princess Diana. I've done a video a long time ago of Princess Diana's best athleisure wear styles. Like, she is the mother of that athleisure look. She set a trend that still carries on to today. And so I've done a video about that before. And so when I was familiar with that look. When I saw Meghan's sweater, I was like, oh my God, that's right. She did graduate from Northwestern. How interesting. So I thought that was very, very interesting. Some things are truly just destined. I do have a question for you guys though. Have you guys had moments like that, whether it's your significant other or your best friend or someone who's really important in your life? Have you ever met someone and then looked back and realized, like, holy crap, like, we have not only a lot of similarities, but we have been orbiting each other. It's kind of like, I think it's called the red string theory, where you're always in proximity to your destined person, whether it's a best friend, whether it's someone just very important to your life, but most often it's associated with soulmates. It's like you're always in each other's lives. There's all these stories on the internet of people looking back at old vacation photos and happening to see their soulmate as a child in the background at Disney, and they're not from Florida. Like I've seen so many of those stories, and I think this is just one of those really, really interesting coincidences. Just yet another, because there are so many when it comes to Harry and Meghan. We've talked about a couple, but this is just another one. Anyway, y'all let me know your thoughts. I thought that video was so cute, and I love that Meghan is not only sharing more, but also that we're getting a peek inside her world. I love seeing parts of their house, and I love seeing parts of their backyard. Like, I love seeing her setups because she's really good with decor. I learned that when I kind of looked back and explored parts of the TIG, the archived articles from the TIG, but also just kind of getting to know her over the years, just watching her, talking about her, and kind of like combing over her content. That's something that's really, that seems to be a really important thing to her, is like how things come together. as she stated, she likes making extraordinary things out of the ordinary, and it's very clear. I love the way the backyard is set up from what we saw in the Harry and Meghan docuseries, the very few clips that we saw, but also getting more of this just kind of shows it really is an oasis. I think it's important to set up your home and whatever other area of yours. I think it's important to set it up to pull you out of stress. I personally think your home should feel serene. And it's not always going to feel that way. You're going to have laundry here and there. You're going to have dishes here and there. I mean, stuff's going to happen. You have to live. But I think when you decorate your home, I think style is important. But I think the most important thing you can do is consider what would be the most amazing thing to come home to after a stressful day. Like, what would pull me completely out of that? And I've changed my decor. Every time we move, I change my decor completely. We change everything every time we move. And I love that because it's fun to be creative. But then wherever we are, like we lived in South Florida, we lived in Central Florida, we now live in North Texas, we can kind of create decor that not only represents where we are in our life, but where we are physically, but also like it can reflect what de-stresses us. For example, our living room right now has big, huge, comfy couches. They're white, and that's really risky with two dogs, two indoor dogs, two schnauzers who will not take no when it comes to getting on the furniture. But everything is white. Our bedroom is white. Our living room is white. Our dining room is white. Like everything is huge, oversized, and white. It feels like a huge cloud. There's a lot of big pillows, so everything, you sink into everything. Our rugs are like white and cream argyle because I still kind of like that posh look. I love a little bit of a prep kind of look. It's cream and white argyle. There's Scotch Guard on everything. Our walls are cream. So, and like all of our wall decor is either metal or gold rimmed or mirrored. So like everything is kind of like, it fades in, but it looks really cool. And we have nature photos. That's about it. But that was intentional because in our last home, we really went for maximalism. Y'all seen my Tiffany & Co. inspired dining room. I've gotten so many freaking compliments about that Crystal and Tiffany & Co. dining room. I've shown it a couple of times, and our living room had a black wall, and it was floral and black, which was super, super cool. But it was very, very decorated and very colorful. We came here and we're like, white. And so I say that to say, with the nature of my husband's job and the fact that I'm in school full time, walking out of this busy, busy, colorful office and then going straight into just a white oasis with a huge balcony and trees and plants all over our balcony, it really does pull me out of stress. I also intentionally don't take phone calls in there. I bring phone calls into the office. I centralize everything into this busy area. And then I go in there and it's like, So anyway, when I was looking at this backyard and in clips that I've seen of Harry and Meghan's home, I have always recognized their penchant for making sure their home not only looks beautiful, but it feels good. When I saw clips of their kitchen, and there's a few photos that we've seen and videos that we've seen of them sitting in that table inside their kitchen or cooking with the kids or Meghan's niece, that setup, oh my God. First of all, I love when there's a lot of natural elements indoors. When I build a home or move into a house again, I definitely want more stonework. I want more wood. I want more nature inside. I love that. And then of course the corridors. And then of course we saw their portico share. It's all stone. So I love that they kind of have that indoor outdoor feel. And then we learned in Spare that they love to keep the windows and doors open to feel those heavenly ocean breezes. But now getting more of a look at their backyard, I'm like, how do y'all leave this place? What? Like, I would never leave. Y'all would have to create a hologram. I would never leave. I'd be like, oh, am I supposed to be in the UK? Oh, I am. Send my machine. Hologram me there. I would never leave. Like, people would have to lasso me and drag me over the fence. And even then, I'm willing to take whatever because I'm not leaving. You have to pry my hands off the fence finger by finger because I'm not leaving. This is absolute magic. Also, I love colorful flowers, although like I love all white. And right now, all the florals in my house are either green or white. I love a good pink or yellow flower. My favorite flower is a sunflower and cherry blossoms. But is cherry blossoms a flower technically? It's kind of just like a tree. I don't know. Anyway, cherry blossoms and sunflowers are my favorites, but they don't actually go with my decor now. But The more colorful, the better, especially outdoors. This looks like pure heaven. I'm so glad she gave us a sneak peek into that. Y'all let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I have been rambling this whole time. See, they done pulled me out of the stress. Just looking at videos and pictures of their backyard have completely relaxed me. Y'all let me know your thoughts in the comment section or the live chat below. Was so nice. First of all, I do have to say, see how when you don't impede on their privacy and when you don't disrespect them and you give them their space, see how when you don't chase, they come to you, paparazzi. See how they do show us their life, and they always have, but they just don't allow you to bully them into it. See how nice it is on the other side when you learn to respect people's time and space. That's all. I'm just glad that we've gotten to this point, because now they can actually share and be present and engage without someone just being excessive and weird. What was wrong with them? What was wrong with them? Why was everybody being strange with Harry and Meghan? Like, I get that you're a fan, but calm down. Let them people breathe. And see, now once paparazzi and everyone else, let them breathe. See how we get all this visuals, information, sneak peek. Like, we're really being fed as the squad. We're seeing a lot, we're engaging a lot, we're being exposed to a lot, and it's because people have finally learned to respect them a little bit. My goodness. All right, let's see. Oh, we have a lot of little comments. Cool. Colette McCullough said lovely, just give me a 10. Right? Okay, because there's a lot of room in that backyard. They probably wouldn't even know you were there. I'm saying that was a beautiful backyard. Okay, let's get to some comments. Hi, Church Nelly. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for being a member for 25 months. You've been putting up with me for a long time, Church Nelly. I'm sure you're entitled to some form of compensation for your struggles. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for being here. Hi, Marlene Alexander. Marlene Alexander says, so nice to see you again, Sharon. It's good to be here. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. Hi, Corlita Simon. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I appreciate it. That's so nice of you. Hi, Colette McCullough. Colette McCullough says, can you imagine having brunch in her home? Oh my gosh. I'm telling y'all, if that ever happened to me, she would have to pry me out of there with a broomstick. She'd be like, girl, I know you like my home and stuff, but you got to go. I'm not going to invite you back. But that house is gorgeous, and we know she can cook. So yes, I would love to have brunch at Meghan's house. Archewell, are y'all hiring? I know she feeds her employees. So Archewell, if y'all are hiring, I'll sweep, I'll wipe windows. Let me know, because I'm trying to get some of that grub and a little basket of lemons. Hi, Tamiko Hinman. I wanted to highlight you because it's been a while since I've seen you, and I hope grad school is going well. Good to see you. Hi, Margaret Rowland. Margaret says, I think it's her friend's daughter, the one that lost her son, who was twin to her daughter. You know, she was wearing the necklace for her son's tribute for raising funds for him and others. I did know about the necklace, but I think her friend's daughter's name is Lily as well. But that young lady is actually much older. I think she might be a teenager already, or maybe a preteen, but she's much older. Those little arms belong to a young child. But who knows? Hi, RR Carter. RR Carter says, love the video, a candid sneak peek look into their private moments without invading their privacy. See, we see each other, RR Carter. Yes, that's what I love. I love when people are able to share at their discretion. I don't like to do anything with anyone without their 100% full consent. If I have to beg, bleed, borrow, spill, steal, and plead, I don't want it. Like, you have to 100% want to hang with me or show me something or expose me to something for me to enjoy it. I don't believe in doing anything under duress. And so I'm glad that people have finally learned to kind of give them 50 feet so that they can show us what they want us to see. It was definitely a very enjoyable video to watch. Now, I am encouraging everybody to follow her Instagram, because stories, unless they're saved as a highlight, they go away. So Instagram stories and Instagram posts are different. You can post a video, but some things, when you post them as a story, it goes away after 24 hours. And if you don't save it as a highlight, you won't see it. Now, one thing I will say is the Sussex squad is not going to miss anything. So if I don't have it, somebody else will absolutely have it, and someone else will absolutely see it. But I will say there is nothing quite like just getting on your phone to see what's going on with the world and seeing a Meghan update. It has been a lot of fun since January. This has been a nice experience. I definitely did not think we would ever get this, or at least in the next 5 years. I definitely didn't think we would. So it has been a pleasurable experience. If you don't have an Instagram, I recommend getting one. Hi, RR Carter. RR Carter says, I like the fact that Archie knew how to use his finger to spray the water. Yes, so it's clear that he has been practicing. Absolutely. Hi, Gwen Daniel. Gwen Daniel says, love everything about Harry and Meghan and their beautiful kids. I completely agree. They seem very, very happy and at peace. That's all I could think about. Like, every video that she showed, I mean, the crunch of the grass, the beautiful blooms, the water and the lily pads, the orange, like all of it just looked like, how do you ever leave this magical place? It was gorgeous. Hi, Claudia Sims. Claudia Sims says, I'm glad Meghan is sharing what she wants in peace. That's the only way to do it. I completely agree. What? Tamiko Hinman says, thank you. I'm finishing up this year. I know that's right. Congratulations, Tamiko. I'm so excited for you. Wonderful. Oh my gosh. I mean, that takes a lot of work, girl. Kudos to you. Absolutely. Hi, Connie Balmer. It's good to see you. Connie Balmer says, that drink made me thirsty. No, the squeeze of the lemon. Oh my God. I mean, the lemon. Lord, I'm just as wrong as the day is long. The squeeze of the orange. It looked so appetizing and beautiful. Oh my goodness. Anyway, that was a nice video. Thank you so much, Meghan, for sharing that with us. And if you ever want to share a little more, girl, and you want somebody over for brunch, I'm your girl. I'll fly there. Don't worry. I'll hop over there on the red eye. Invite me to brunch. Anyway, y'all continue to leave your comments in the comment section below, or in the live chat below, excuse me. And then we're going to move over to segment 2. Sir Trevor McDonald penned a piece defending Harry and Meghan for Saga magazine. Now, I actually wasn't familiar with Sir Trevor McDonald before this article. So for those of you who are in the US who might not be familiar with him either, Sir Trevor McDonald is best known for presenting ITN News at 10, Tonight with Trevor McDonald, and documentaries on subjects varied as death row, UK killers, and the Caribbean. He was knighted in 1999 for his services to journalism and has received many awards for his work. He has been named Newscaster of the Year 3 times and received honorary degrees from more than 8 universities. And so I thought it would be interesting to read this article that he wrote for Saga magazine titled Sir Trevor McDonald Defends Harry and Meghan. Quote, she was never given a chance. This sounded right up our alley. Of course, I have not read it yet. I saw a little bit about it and I said, you know what? Let's read this live on air during the live stream. So let's get started. Once again, this is for Saga magazine and it's titled Sir Trevor McDonald Defends Harry and Meghan. Quote, she was never given a chance. 5 years after the Spare and his wife left the UK, our columnist says it's our loss and he wants them to return. This was penned by Sir Trevor McDonald. Hard to believe it's been 5 years since Prince Harry and his wife Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, left Britain to live in North America, first in Canada and then in Meghan's home state of California. I hadn't realized so much time had passed, mainly because I always felt the move was temporary and that they would return to live in Britain once again. To my mind, it is a great shame Prince Harry is no longer part of the working monarchy. And not only because his presence would give them strength in numbers, the past year has exposed just how slimmed down the monarchy has become, with both the King and the Princess of Wales taking time out for cancer treatment, allegedly. I have always felt Harry brought something special to the role. Watching him address a meeting of Commonwealth students, for example, I was impressed by his insistence that his was not a short-term presence. He wouldn't make one speech and disappear. He would be there as long as they needed him. I was struck by the similarity to his mother, the late Princess Diana. It seemed to me he spoke from the heart, just as she did. In fact, there is much in his demeanor and approach to life that reminds people of his mother. To some extent, he has followed along the paths she laid out, the socially progressive causes, the passion for charities she championed, and her unrivaled ability to connect with people. Meghan, too, could have brought a new dimension to the monarchy. By having a different background, perhaps she could have changed how the royal family is perceived by those who had never before felt a strong connection. Yet, it seems to me that precisely because of those differences, she never stood a chance of being accepted. The less than kind way some newspapers reported the news of her new Netflix show, With Love, Meghan, debuting March 4th, reminded me why the couple had run from their British home in the first place. Prince Harry's own view is uncompromising. In his book Spare, he outlines bluntly that once their fairy tale wedding had ended, they were subjected to waves of abuse, racism, and lies, and had no choice but to flee the country. I want to pause there. That's a great way of putting it. However, if you dig a little deeper, you'll actually realize the abuse began the moment Meghan's foot touched British soil. Those people were on her like white on rice. His own difficulties with the media go back further. Once the happy-go-lucky Spare, he was overcome by grief over his mother's death in a Paris road tunnel, for which he blamed the British press. I mean, that's kind of fact. He was so very young when Princess Diana died, only 12. Walking along the mall following his mother's hearse, he said he was surprised to see so many people in tears since they never knew her. That is the comment of a child. Everyone in the world knew why people were so grief-stricken, but to him, she was simply Mummy. One of the final meetings between Harry, his father the King, and his older brother William took place in Windsor. We have only Harry's account of how that went. He says they were not on time, could hardly meet his eyes, and never inquired in any serious way why he was thinking of going to America. I don't think they inquired about it because they already knew. From where we are today, it looks almost impossible that someone could persuade Harry and his family to come back to Britain. But I sincerely hope it can be done one day. We cannot afford to lose someone so young, so full of energy, and so imbued with the charitable instincts that are at the core of our royal family. And once again, that was penned by Sir Trevor McDonald for Saga magazine. I actually have quite a few thoughts on this, and you might be surprised about my opinion, because I was even kind of surprised, like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I felt that way. But this is exactly why I like to read live. And I also like to give my authentic opinion because I'm human. My thoughts change, but also I always make room for nuance. And I think this situation, or at least this article, is extremely nuanced. First, let me address his opinion. This man is British. He is also a Black British man. He is also an extremely accomplished man. And he is clearly a royalist. But what makes him very different than some of the royalists that we've discussed on this channel in a not so friendly way, as well as derangers, is that he understands nuance. He recognizes, at least in this article, that you can support an entity and still critique it. And as a matter of fact, I don't think you can truly support anything and turn a blind eye when it has wrongdoings. That's with anybody. If you love your spouse and you realize that they're making decisions that poorly reflect on them, or they're making decisions that cause harm to themselves or others, you would be less than a spouse to not bring it up. Letting someone sit in their wrong, letting someone do wrong, makes you just as wrong. And if you truly support an entity or a person or what have you, you do have the right to look at it with an honest eye. And that's what I see here. Whether or not I agree with his assessment that they should come back, I think the way he approached the topic was more impressive than any other royalist or British person that I've seen talk about this. Also, especially someone who supports the monarchy, even up until now, after everything that we know. I also appreciate the unbiased way he discussed this while still recognizing how the royal family has its own needs. They've taken a turn to the slimmed down monarchy and it clearly didn't work out. And now they have more needs than they had before, and how their behavior prior to the slimmed down monarchy has put them in the pit that they're currently in, while still supporting them. He's also recognized why Harry and Meghan have left. He's also recognized that they are amazing assets to the royal family, and he stated his opinion while still showing support for the monarchy. I just want to use this as an example to other royalists who may or may not agree with Harry and Meghan's decision to leave. This is how it's done. You get more flies with honey when you are able to look at all sides of an issue without being extreme and toxic and derogatory. You have a lot more opportunities to reach across the aisle. So I just wanted to talk about his approach and his article there. As for his opinion, while I don't agree with his wanting of Harry and Meghan to return, I actually think his opinion makes sense, and I don't fault him for that. He's a monarchist, clearly. He's a royalist. He supports the monarchy. And as such, it makes sense that he would want the two best assets for the monarchy to return. I mean, if I had a favorite football team and my amazing quarterback ended up getting traded, I would raise hell. I would be like, I don't personally care what y'all's internal issues were. Do whatever you got to do, coach. Do whatever you got to do, GM. Do whatever you got to do, team owner, to get my quarterback back so we can get another Super Bowl. I would have that approach. While I still would support the team and I would still support the quarterback, I would recognize you made a mistake in letting him go. Get him back. And I feel like that's what we're looking at here. He still supports the monarchy. He still supports the royal family, but he also still supports Harry and Meghan. He also recognizes the huge blind spot that was left upon their exit. He didn't have to put down Harry and Meghan in the process of saying they should return. And he certainly didn't have to turn a blind eye to King Charles, William, Kate, and Camilla and their role in why Harry and Meghan left in order to say, you guys need them and I still support you. This is what it looks like when people take an appropriate approach to a toxic situation, or even, I won't even say toxic, but to a nuanced situation. You can look at this from a lot of different angles, but I appreciate the way he approached this. Now, as a person who supports the monarchy and a clear royalist, it makes sense that he wants Harry and Meghan to return. And it makes sense that he wants them to return in a way that they are able to experience a more positive experience. He's not saying return, grin and bear it. He's not saying return and just take it. He's saying, do what you guys need to do to get them back. And whatever was going on before, knock it off. You have a lot of opportunity with these two, not just from aesthetics, which is already a lot, but because of how hard they work and how they connect with people. You've already lost an amazing asset before you let a literal angel on earth walk away. And then you turned around and did it again. The monarchy has never escaped the shadow of Princess Diana. And here we are, 3 decades later, and they have not, or 2 decades later, and they haven't escaped the shadow of Harry and Meghan. They are determined to make the wrong decision every time they have this decision to make. You know, the definition of insanity is making the same choice several times or doing the same thing and expecting different results. And the royal family is insane. They continue to work against themselves because of their own self-interest and egos. You never really get far with egos. You never really get far when thinking of yourself, especially when your claim to fame is being in service to others. Where's there room for ego in that? And I think that's a huge part of Harry and Meghan's appeal. There's no egos. And it's one of the reasons why one of the main projections that they try to place on Meghan is that she has an ego, despite evidence to the contrary and no evidence to support that claim. But they want that to stick because a hit dog will holler. Narcissists often blame others for what they are actually guilty of. Now there are a lot of toxic people and there are a lot of different forms of toxicity. Not everybody who's toxic is a narcissist. However, if you've ever met a real narcissist, you know their modus operandi is to blame others for the things that they do. And it really is a mind trip. Every time I talk about the royals and their tactics, I cannot escape that. I have 2 narcissists in my family. Real ones, as in diagnosed. And it is a mind trip to hear how they victimize themselves in situations where they are not only the villain, but they curated the toxic situation to begin with. And they genuinely do not see what the problem is when people do what's best for them in a situation where they are causing harm. They only see themselves as the victim. And it is actually kind of scary to witness. I'm not going to lie. It is kind of scary for someone to be so lacking in self-awareness. Like, how are you that deluded that you genuinely don't see what's wrong with this? And that's why, yes, there's a lot more nuance there, but there's a lot more that I'm leaving out. But the point I'm making is the royal family operates like a narcissistic person. They continue to do the same thing, expecting different results. They refuse to change their tactics, and they get upset when anyone dares to defy being abused, but they don't stop the abuse. And honestly, it just ramps up each time. I'm kind of noticing a pattern here is that they actually double down every time this comes up. So aside from all that, while I understand Sir Trevor McDonald's opinion, and I actually agree with it as far as his perspective, if I were him, I might feel the same. But I'm coming at this from a Black female American, someone who has never been in a monarchy, and I refuse to be in one now. For those who want to call themselves a king, I'll be damned. Anyway, sorry, we went down the wrong road. But aside from that, I am a Black American from the South woman. If Harry and Meghan return, it would take a miracle. Not to change their mind. It would take a miracle to create an environment that they could inhabit safely. And they wouldn't return unless they could inhabit that environment safely. And the royal family is not going to do the mountains of work that are needed to make their environment habitable. So that wish is just that. It's a wish. That's from a logical place. But from my personal opinion, again, as someone who is not, I didn't even pledge allegiance in school. Like I've never really been about that one for all for one kind of mindset when it comes to my country. Like I've always seen government as you are in service to me. I live here. You're supposed to help me, protect me, give me resources, etc. You work for me. And my parents pay taxes. When I became an adult, I started paying taxes. You are here for me. Protect me, feed me, etc. But I've always seen the government as you belong to me kind of thing. I've never really seen it as like, straight back, hand over the heart, pledging allegiance. No. And that's even with having multiple veterans in my family. I respect the military. I don't really respect the government in that way. Not in a way that I pledge my allegiance to the country itself. If anything, I would pledge my allegiance to Texas. And since Texas is kind of trash right now, our government is trash, I don't even pledge my allegiance to them. But anyway, all jokes aside, I don't really have that view of putting people on a pedestal. I believe in seeing people as just people. Some people have really cool jobs. Some people have really cool callings. Some people have really passionate callings. Some people just have a different path, but I don't put people on a pedestal, even when I'm a fan or a supporter of theirs. So as far as pledging my allegiance to a group of people, a whole family, especially when a family in which I've never seen myself represented, nor have I ever seen them welcome someone who might represent me, I can't relate to that. And so I'm leaving room for the fact that he and I have had very different experiences and we are from very different age groups and generations as well. So his commitment to the royal family, especially as a Black British person, clearly an elder, I respect his decisions and I respect his opinion because it makes sense for him to have that opinion. But as someone who is detached from things like that, as someone who is a millennial, as someone who is a woman, as someone who is Black but American, and Meghan is American, she is a Black biracial woman, I fully support her decision and Harry's decision to leave. And I also have the awareness to know that it'll never get better. You have to look at things from, again, a logical standpoint. The royal family has never really been one to change the way they do things. They are steeped in tradition. And really, that's just code for we're not changing, deal with it. They're digging their heels in. Again, narcissistic. So my whole thing is the likelihood of them changing anything is zero. The likelihood of them being accountable is zero. And with that said, since they won't change their abusive tactics and they won't even take a clear look or an honest look at themselves in order to even start unweaving the threads of abuse that they've created, I would never wish for anyone who's been at the helm of that kind of behavior, or at the foot of that kind of environment, to return. I am a person who believes in looking forward always. I don't live with regret. I can look back and say, hey, maybe I could have made a better decision. Maybe moving forward, this is how I would change my approach, whatever. I can look back and use that information to move forward. But I don't look back with regret, and I never look back with the intent to turn around and return. I fully believe the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror for a reason. I am not a person who returns to exes. I am not a person who goes back and eats my words or eats crow. I can admit when I'm wrong, but I'm not a person who goes back to rehash old arguments. I'm not a person really who holds grudges. I hold people accountable and I make decisions from that point, but I don't hold grudges. People that I've chosen not to have contact with because they've crossed me, it's just that. You hurt me, the pain subsided. I made a choice like, oh, I'm never going to let that happen again. But I wish those people well. And if I can't wish them well, I don't wish them anything at all. But I don't rehash things. I don't hold grudges to where that stuff is still present with me. I live in the moment and I focus on the future. And with that in mind, once you see something won't work out or hasn't worked out, or the key elements of change that need to occur for that to be attempted again have not changed, then the smartest thing to do is stay in a safe environment and move forward. But I am a firm believer you shouldn't have to escape the same enemy twice. Fool me once, shame on them. Fool me twice, shame on me. So we know what kind of beast we're dealing with when we talk about the royal family. We know what kind of entity that's a traditional entity, archaic, one of the oldest institutions that we still have operating today. And for that reason, I can understand people's loyalty to it, because it is really cool when you think of it from a bird's eye view. But when you think of the individual people inhabiting that environment right now, it's not so cool. And when you think of them and what they've done and their approach to what they've done and their perspective on what they've done, and not even what they did while Harry and Meghan were there, it's everything they've done since. The leaked stories, the insults, the glares, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do is walk about with Meghan. That kind of stuff doesn't go away from me. The approaching Meghan with an abusive vibe, like the way Kate stepped towards Meghan at that walkabout after the Queen passed away, that will never leave my mind. She could literally grovel at Meghan's feet and I would still be like, don't trust her, Em. We don't trust her. Like, I would never trust her again. People like that's a character thing. That's not a we had a bad moment kind of thing. If you ever approach me like you on some I want to fight, I will never forget that. I don't believe in having arguments to a certain extent. We can argue, but if you stand up at me, I will never talk to you again. If you stand over me, I will never talk to you again. If you approach me, I'm gonna knock you on your ass and then I will never talk to you again. I don't believe in being intimidating because I don't believe in being intimidated. So when people try to intimidate me, I don't feel anything, but I recognize the behavior as a threat. And I respond to threats very differently than I respond to conflict, because that's a whole different ball game. I don't play those games. As a matter of fact, if you threaten me once, every time I see you, it's going to be a problem. You might as well bring your eye patches with you. I don't play that game because we can have a conversation and we can have dialogue. Anytime it escalates past dialogue, you got a problem, a real problem. That's why I said, just let me be me. Let me be cool as long as I'm cool. Don't push me. I don't believe in that. So with that said, when I saw Kate do that, I said, see, that's a heifer that will try to get you killed. Have you ever brought a friend home to meet your parents, like a friend you liked, and your parents are like, that's not a good friend to make. That person don't really like you. That person is sneaky. I don't trust that, but don't bring that person home no more. You can talk to him in school or whatever, but don't trust that person. Don't tell him nothing personal about you. Don't let him hold no money for you. Don't trust them. Something about it. Parents usually know, or grandparents usually know. They can spot it. That's the kind of vibe I have with Kate. Like if Meghan forgives her, which I'm pretty sure Meghan seems like a forgiving person. She's not stupid now, but she seems like the kind of person that lets things go and just move forward. She changed how she operates, move forward. That's kind of how I operate as well. But if she ever forgives Kate, if she has already forgiven Kate, that's none of my business. Because I support Meghan, because I support Harry, what I saw, I will never look at Kate the same, regardless of what Harry and Meghan do or feel. That's their family. That's not mine. So they have to go through their own processes. But as far as a person who supports the two of them and their children, I would never trust Kate again. What I saw her do with that step forward, I said, oh, she and William are equally yoked. And we know how he get down. So as far as Sir Trevor McDonald's opinion, it makes sense as a royalist, as a person who is an elder, as a person who, supports the monarchy. He lives in the UK. So clearly, hey, that makes sense. But the way he went about it is what I respect the most. We can differ in opinion, but at the same time, he wasn't willing to lie just because he supported the royal family. And that's how it should be done. But as far as his opinion of Harry and Meghan returning, I can see why that would be a benefit to the royals, because he's absolutely right about that. But that would be at Harry and Meghan's detriment. And that I cannot support. We have to keep in mind that there are two sides to every story. Harry and Meghan being an asset to the royal family is one side, but the royal family being a detriment to Harry and Meghan is the other side. And I would hate for them to give their literal peace for the benefit of an entity that doesn't even support its own royal subjects, let alone its own family members. Where's the win? Not only would returning change the dynamic of their working life, but that means millions of people who are already receiving and experiencing support from Harry and Meghan in a multitude of ways, whether that's financial, whether that's being in the present, whether that's using their platform, whether that's just connecting for a friendly hug, whether that's helping people who immigrate here to create community. Like millions of people benefit from Harry and Meghan's Archewell Foundation and the work they do, and the Invictus Games Foundation. Millions of people benefit from them, just being them. None of that would continue in the same way should they go back to the UK. I don't think the risk is worth the royal family's reward, because the royal family doesn't deserve anything. So again, I like this article, and I actually appreciate the way he went about it. And I actually appreciated learning more about his opinion as a Black British person who supports the royals. I was really interested in what he had to say, and I'm going to continue to read his articles, but I wanted to highlight this specific point. Notice how he and I don't have the same opinion, but because he's not a complete and utter psycho, I actually am interested in his opinion. It doesn't change mine, but it's still an interesting opinion to have, and I can absolutely see how he arrived there. But in the meantime, when he is cultivating this opinion, I hope moving forward, he remembers to include the well-being of Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lily, because I think that was the one huge glaring piece that was missing from this article. Is that what's best for them? And the answer to that is a resounding no. But I'm interested in hearing you guys' opinion. Let me know in the comment section below. I just wanted to take a super short break to say, if you have not already, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you are interested, feel free to participate in the live chat going on now, or feel free to leave a comment if you do not wish to engage in the live chat. Once again, I know I do this all the time. I'm enjoying a channel, I'm enjoying the video, I'm just having a great time, and I completely forget to hit subscribe. So please don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to comment if you wish, and please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button so that the algorithm on YouTube knows that you like my content. Now, let's get back to the show. Hey y'all, I'm back. So I did elaborate more on that too. I ran out of time. I told you I had started rambling, and while several things were kind of present in my mind as I read that, which was, I don't mind having an opinion that differs from mine, but when people start getting extreme and start getting strange and start like omitting the truth or changing, that gets on my nerves. But one thing that I disliked about the article, and I did mention it in the video, but I want to reiterate, one thing I disliked was that was told from the perspective of what was best for the royal family. And I feel like when you cause harm to others, or if you are the one who initiated conflict or the dissension, I personally just feel like your well-being needs to take a back seat. Because if you were concerned about your well-being, you would have never start started any mess. You would have never done the things you did. And there were plenty of things that you did to push this couple and their baby out of your life. What you didn't expect was for them to willingly and happily say, okay, deuces. You didn't expect them to value themselves because you don't value yourself. And when I say you, I'm talking about each and every remaining leftover member of the royal family. They don't know what it is to actually love yourself, because I don't know that any of them have actually cultivated that skill or that ability. They've all been told to covet the position in front of them and to sacrifice themselves to ascend to that position. And this position is cloaked in thrones if you're that high up, and crowns if you're that high up, and literal cloaks and robes, and people bow to you and you bow to people, and it's all well and good from a bird's eye view. But when you zoom in and you realize what these people are willing to do to ascend to that next position and to ensure that as many people as possible bow to them, when you realize how dark and sordid it is, it stops mattering what's best for them. Because if they were able to just keep it cute and say, okay, cool, we're the royal family and we're focused on making sure this entity and this institution thrives, etc. And sometimes we got to make hard decisions. Sometimes we got to sacrifice conveniences, blah, blah. If they could have just gone about it that way, then we would have been gravy. The moment you decided, I'm going to sacrifice these two people and whatever offspring they create, you had gone way too far. And since they have already gone that route, and they saw how terribly that ended, I can't imagine why any sane person or any reputable entity would literally repeat the same process and follow the same blueprint of a losing strategy. That's how you know they're not that smart. Because who in their right mind would mess up and then turn around and say, let's do it again in a couple decades. See ya. No sane person continues to repeat a losing strategy. So if they don't even understand learning from mistakes 20 and 30 years ago, what makes you think, and I'm not saying you guys who are watching this, y'all got brains. I'm talking to the people who are on the same side as Trevor, McDonald. If they can't learn from something that happened 20 years ago that has been analyzed front, back, side, up, down, in, and out, and they can't pull nuggets of wisdom from that to re-strategize, what makes you think they are re-strategizing from 5 years ago when they're still in the thick of it? But I want to make it very clear, the royals are still in the thick of it. Harry and Meghan are not. And I think that was the thing that was missing from the article. Had he been able to round it out with some consideration for Harry and Meghan, I don't know that he would have had the same opinion. And I think that's essentially why he didn't. I think from what I read and from his experience and his background and his accomplishments, I actually think he seems to be a very astute person, which is why I know he intentionally omitted the conversation of why that wouldn't be great for Harry and Meghan, because it would omit the entire point of his article. So I'm glad he was able to acknowledge how great Harry and Meghan are. Hey, we agree on that point. And I'm glad he was able to acknowledge what a loss it was for the royals. But the conversation he needs to have isn't with Harry and Meghan. It's with the royals. It's honestly too far gone at this point. You can't say, well, to get them back, that ship has sailed. Bye. Let's stop. That's not a possibility. You know, every time they bring this up of if Harry and Meghan return, or I want Harry and Meghan to return, et cetera, every time they talk about that, it kind of reminds me of somebody you broke up with. And they speak in terms of if they'll take you back, but your stuff is already moved out of their house. You've already gotten on the plane. Your stuff is already in the luggage. You're gone. You're gone. Your bag is checked. Your seatbelt's on. No moving about the cabin light is on. You've already got your bottled water and your peanuts. You're not coming back. But to them, the narcissist, she'll be back. Oh yeah, she'll be back. Y'all remember when, let me not go down the rabbit hole, but y'all remember when Ike made one last plea in What's Love Got to Do with It movie? He made one last plea to Tina. She sat in that front seat and he was like, I done quit all that narcotic now. Come on back now. I need you. I got these songs I want you to sing. We're going to get back together. We got it like old time. We got the band. And he was rambling and she was healed. She moved on. She was healed. Nothing he said or did affected her. She sat there and she watched that man ramble and beg and plead and all that stuff. And she let him talk long enough for the truth to come out. She didn't say a word. He started off so nicely. I got you them there roses. Anna Mae, I got you them roses. He was so charming. Had his hair slicked back. He had combed the mustache. He still had a little narcotic in it, but how you gonna talk about I quit all that narcotic? Nose just as white. Did you fall face first in snow in the middle of summer? Then what is that on your face? But no, she let him talk long enough for the old Ike to show up. And she had zero reaction. She said, oh, I was wondering when old Ike would show up. Got out, shut that door so hard the window cracked, and she done broke my window. He was triggered. But what he didn't do that differed from what he did the last time is he stayed in his place. He knew he was no longer dealing with the broken version of her that he had manipulated. He had to stand down because the healed version of her would not only never come back, but he missed his opportunity. And he only had the option to sit in that. Somebody send the royal family what's love got to do with it. And you know they probably still got a Betamax. So can you find it on eBay on Betamax and send it to them? You know they ain't got no DVD. You sure know they ain't streaming. But send them that movie, because that's what it looks like when you consistently talk about whether or not you will take somebody back who left you. There are people still out there talking about whether or not they'll take back their ex. The ex that left them is now remarried, living well with kids and probably don't even remember their middle name or birthday. And they still talking about, I could have it if I want her. Sure, Jan. Sure. That's the energy when the royal family or anyone surrounding or orbiting them talks about whether or not Harry and Meghan should return. I hope this conversation deads, because how many different ways do Harry and Meghan need to tell y'all? We moved on and we have a really good life. Maybe you should do the same. It's almost like they're being polite enough to not address it, because I feel like them even thinking about it, if I were the royals, I'd be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed to know somebody knows I can't get over them. I would be embarrassed to know someone knew I was so petulant that I could not only not apologize, but I couldn't even recognize the wrong that I'm doing and still expect them to give me another chance. I would hate to be publicly that stupid. It's one thing to be stupid in the privacy of your own home, but to be stupid on the global stage, my God, where is your shame? Now, I don't know what the motivation for Trevor McDonald was to write this article. I appreciated that he defended Harry and Meghan. He talked about their assets and all that stuff. And he recognized that they were not wrong. And they still aren't wrong. And the royals need them. They don't need the royals. I'm glad he said that. What I would have loved for him to keep the ball rolling and say is, while I would love to be able to see my royal family have its very best members back, I don't want them in harm's way. And because I care more about their well-being than I care about a facade and a picture and a wonderful balcony, I cannot stand by my personal want of wanting them to return, because I care about their experience in this world. But he didn't, so I'll say it. Harry and Meghan are not coming back. They probably haven't thought about coming back. Anytime the option to come back shows up, they slam the door in its face. They probably turn the sprinklers on it. Get out my yard. They probably call security. Like, how many different ways do them people need to tell y'all we've moved on? They live in one of the most beautiful homes I have ever seen. And that's saying something, because I watch Property Brothers and Cribs. I've seen some gorgeous homes. I've never seen what they're cooking up. They live in one of the most beautiful homes. Their house is 10 times more beautiful than any palace, any home, any property, any estate owned by the royal family combined. Their home is immaculate. And you want to know how I know that's true? Is because when they redecorated their home in the UK, everybody wanted it. Everybody wanted it. And now they've got something probably 10, 20 times better. They're not leaving that. They're not leaving. Just from the lily pads in the pond, I knew they weren't leaving. But aside from that, I think also what that conversation, but also this article negates, is the fact that Harry and Meghan literally have a lot of work to do by their own volition. They haven't stopped working. When they left the royal family in 2020, they left and got to work, and they haven't stopped. Just because we didn't see them right away doesn't mean they weren't working. And then we immediately saw all the seeds they had planted flourish. They have a lot going on. They have full lives, and their lives are so full that I doubt they even think about their distant relatives. I know I don't. How many of y'all go to work every day? I know you love your family, but think about it in this term. You have a third cousin, and that third cousin has a baby. That's your fourth cousin. And then they have their own auntie and uncles, and they have their own family and group. And when you see each other, it's like, hey, let's keep it real. But you have a day job. You have your own children. You have your own hobbies. You have your own friends. You have your own home to keep up. You have yourself to keep up. In 365 days, you are consumed solely by what is in your direct orbit. How often do you think about that fourth and that fifth and that sixth cousin? That is how I feel Harry and Meghan feel about the royals. And I don't own a foundation. I don't run a foundation. And they run two foundations. And from those foundations, there's so many initiatives that have spawned from there. And then, of course, they also have jobs. Several jobs, individually and together. They don't even have time to think about the royals. I mean, let's play the game. Let's play devil's advocate. Let's say in the deepest, darkest pits of each of their souls, they're like, I do kind of miss beans on toast, though. Maybe we should go back for the weekend. I feel like even if that thought began to creep up in the pits of their soul, they have so much peace, joy, happiness, and things to keep them busy. So many passions that they're following. So many things they are doing and have done and plan to do. I don't even think that small seed of a thought could flourish. It couldn't make it up amongst the mountains of other important things that actually do matter. So I personally believe this is just again, I don't know Harry and Meghan. They could be watching this at some point and be like, this girl wrong is all get out. We on FaceTime right now. We ready to go. I don't know. They could be doing, but I don't like to operate from a place outside of logic. And logic, looking at the facts and looking at what Harry and Meghan are cooking up and showing us, there's not a chance in hell. Let me just say it. Let me just be very direct. Ain't a chance in hell. Are you crazy? Trevor McDonald. Now, I liked your argument and I understood it coming from you because you are thinking of it as a person who supports the royals and you want to see them back with the royals. But I am a person who supports Harry and Meghan. So I want to see them in environments where they can just be Harry and Meghan. I don't want to see them in environments where they have to be mistreated. And I don't want to see them in environments where they're giving second chances. I don't want to see them in environments where their worth is questioned, not just negated, but questioned. The moment a seed of doubt about what my value is as a human being crosses your mind, let me go. And the moment I realize that seed of doubt has crossed your mind, I'm gone. Now, because Harry and Meghan are the ones who cut ties, that is where this bitterness and this conversation keeps coming from. Because I guarantee you, if the royals had been the ones to say, Harry and Meghan, y'all got to get out, we're banishing you or whatever, exile, I guarantee you these conversations wouldn't be happening because they would feel like they have the upper hand. See, they are bitter because they lost, because to them, it's a game. It's all about ego. It's all about the public's opinion of me because they're insecure, soulless people whose whole identity hinges upon your approval. You, whoever is watching this, even if you're not one of their subjects, it burns their goose that people look at them and say, oh, I would never want to live like that. Because I was told my whole life, everybody wanted what I had. I was told everybody wanted this and that I'm lucky. You're not lucky, baby. You are a caged bird. We are all really sad for you until you cross the line. Now you're right where you deserve to be. You could not pay me to be in an environment like the royals. I mean, I don't even see how they survive it. And then I realized they don't. They are soulless cretins, literally living in a crypt. What they couldn't handle, and one of the things that he mentioned in this article, they didn't bring up why Harry and Meghan moved back to America. They didn't bring it up and they didn't inquire because they already knew. When you have been out here abusing somebody and they finally leave, you don't question it either. You just realize, damn, they got sick of that. They're tired of it. They really let me go. But a narcissist don't think of it like that. The narcissist says, oh, they'll be back. Something wrong with them. Don't they see what I'm giving them? A slap across the face, mistreatment, gossiping about them, not feeding them, mistreating them. Don't they want all this? And everybody's like, boo, no, nobody wants you. They were being polite, just being in your presence. Meghan was being polite, just allowing you guys to be related to her. Meghan was being polite by making your institution better. And the only reason she was that polite was because she fell in love with the love of her life. Because only your soulmate will have you out here making compromises like Miss Ma'am was making. And she got it all back tenfold. Her sacrifices were not in vain. And because she and Harry are soulmates, she not only went over there and elevated that family, she took her prince and her baby and she elevated them right on up out of there. She said, oh, no, boo, this is not how you live. And the fact of the matter is she didn't even plan to leave. She planned to truly endure. She really loved that man. But because he loved her, he said, I won't allow it anymore. And I tell you what, that's a man. That is a man. A man will not let you continue to suffer. That is a man. It's a lot of people, men and women or whatever, will be out here telling them to endure. Just take it. Some men won't even correct their friends when they're disrespectful to their spouse. I heard a conversation, or I read a conversation on social media the other day that said, when your husband or your boyfriend's friends come over, do you go in the back room? I said, what? Go in the back room of my own house? Why would I do that? If there's somebody in my home that I can't comfortably be around, they wouldn't be in my home. And if my husband or boyfriend, whomever, really wants to see them that bad that it made me uncomfortable, he wouldn't be my husband or my boyfriend. There's some people out here whose husbands and boyfriends won't even correct the waiter when they get their order wrong for their wife. There's people out here whose husbands and boyfriends don't even remember their birthday, forgot about Valentine's Day. But not Harry. Not Harry. Because he treats his woman like the queen that she is. The reason they didn't need the royals is because they are already royal. Meghan showed up with a crown on her head. And the problem with them is that they saw it. And the world saw it. And they were sick about it. Now, let me read some of these comments. Because y'all know I'll go down this road. I want to make it very clear. I'm not condemning Trevor McDonald for his opinion. It makes sense coming from him. I just don't agree. And I don't agree because I feel like a big part of what's missing in his opinion is consideration for Harry and Meghan. And for me, that's where the conversation starts and ends. Is Harry and Meghan going to be good? Yes, in Montecito. That's it. That's it. And honestly, at this point, yes, I do support Harry and Meghan. But if they even had the inkling that they might be willing to compromise, which they are not, but if they even had the inkling that they might, I would lay in front of their car. I'd be like, think it over again. Think it over again. Don't go. I wouldn't allow it. I would not. Y'all would have to lasso me out of their driveway. I would get an orange on my way out, but y'all would have to lasso me out of their driveway. I would not even allow it. I feel like the Sussex squad would rise up and be like, no, wait a minute. We know y'all forgiving and loving people, but think about it. Let's think about this, okay? But no, not a chance in hell. Let's read some comments. Hi, Church Nelly. Okay, we were talking about Meghan's orange that she squeezed into her drink. Just from the orange alone, they are not returning. You mean to tell me they got them big old juicy oranges in their backyard and y'all expect them to move back to the UK? Get out of town. Anyway, Church Nelly said moonshine is better in my honest opinion. You know what? Send her some moonshine. Say, okay, girl, I saw your orange. I raised you a bottle of moonshine. Let me know how that goes, Church Nelly. Hey, Nick Mac, it's good to see you. Nick Mac says, Sharion, thanks for sharing Spare, Diana, Her True Story, Together Community Cookbook, and Harry and Meghan's wedding album below for purchase. I need to get my copies. Oh, yeah, I always forget to say something about that. Okay, YouTube has been so gracious. It lets me now tag related products and topics and things that are in my view, like that you can see. And if you want any of the things that I'm showing in my video, you can purchase them. And YouTube now allows you to purchase directly through YouTube. You don't even have to leave the video. So thank you so much. I've been doing that for a while and I completely forgot. Thanks, Nick Mac. Hi, Benjamin Padilla. Benjamin Padilla says, Trevor McDonald is a complete gentleman. I was introduced to him from interviewing mobsters of all things. What? Okay, I'm gonna look that up. He can get along in any space. See, I can clearly see that because even though he clearly was saying something that would ruffle feathers, the way he went about it, I actually respect it. But I also think I have a yearning for just some semblance of true journalism. I'm really sick of the clickbait and the extreme stuff. That's getting on my nerves. It's been a long time of that, just that oversaturated. It's too much. I mean, people have really taken the bottom out of journalism in general and have just been saying the most vile things. And I feel like, especially considering the topic and the subject matter I cover on my channel, I'm seeing some of the most vile things for years at a time. So the fact that he had an article that I disagree with completely, but that was in some form or fashion professional, I don't know. It felt like a breath of fresh air, even though I didn't agree. It was a breath of fresh air. Hi, Mina Ruth 2093. Mina Ruth says, Prince Harry got it from his mama. He's her son through and through. Absolutely. Her light continues to shine through the family she still has here on this earth. And that family is Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lily. I can't think of anybody else. Hi, Nick Mac. Nick Mac says, I don't know if Buckingham Palace. I don't know if Buckingham Palace would be happy with this article. I think it's his opinion. He defends Harry and Meghan. Yeah. I don't know. Listen, like I said in the video, you get more flies with honey. So he seems to be a smart man. He might really be speaking on behalf of the royals in a roundabout way. And he knows, I got to say this to get their attention. I don't know. I just learned of the man yesterday. When that article was sent to me, that was the first time I'd ever even heard of him. So I still have my Googles to do. I still have my research to do. My knowledge of him starts and ends with this article. So I really don't know what's in his wheelhouse. But what I will say is, if I were Buckingham Palace and I sent him to do that, and then I read that article, I would be like, we ain't gonna send him no more. I would be like, he was too easy on them. He was really nice to them and made us look bad. So I probably wouldn't send him if I were them. Hi, avid reader. Ooh, avid reader, your profile picture is beautiful. What is that? If you know what picture or painting that is, please leave it in the comment. That's a beautiful picture. Okay, avid reader says, why would prisoners willingly return to prison to be tortured? I would like to know that as well, because that's exactly what asking Harry and Meghan to even consider going back is actually doing. You're asking them to consider going back to some of the darkest times in each of their lives. Really? Really? First of all, if you're close enough to Harry and Meghan to ask them anything and you ask them that, then you shouldn't be close enough to Harry and Meghan because you clearly don't consider their feelings. So I completely agree. Hi, Joyce Vos. Joyce Vos. It's so good to see you. Buckingham Palace tried for the past 6 years to break Meghan and Harry to get them to return. So now all they have left is to have Sir Trevor to speak up for H&M. Buckingham Palace put him out there to beg Harry and Meghan to return. I wouldn't be shocked. They are desperate. And since I don't know enough about him to say what yay or nay on that, I trust that you know more about him. I would not put that past them. They are very desperate. The little cancer lie didn't take off. Like, everything they are throwing at the wall does not stick. Hi, Gwen Daniel. It's good to see you. Gwen Daniel says, the only way I would want Harry and Meghan to go over there, as long as Charles and William are nowhere around. I completely agree. And honestly, Charles, William, and take your wives too. And since we know that's not going to happen, they are good right here. Hi, Joan Garcia. Joan Garcia says, I know he wants to preach forgiveness, yet Harry and Meghan returning to be vilified and bashed 24/7 is ridiculous. See, I want to give an example of something. And this kind of is a far-fetched, but follow me here. Excuse me. Let's say you come to me and you say, hey, Sharion, let me drink some water. Hey, Sharion, I found out my spouse is cheating on me. I'm going to leave. And imagine my response is, well, don't leave because my spouse isn't cheating on me. And since my spouse isn't cheating on me, then you don't need to leave yours. Capiche? You would look at me like I was crazy. So whenever someone says, hey, I had this experience with my family, I'm not going to tolerate it anymore. And your response is, well, families are family. I would never cut my dad off, or I would never cut off my brother, or I would never. Anybody ask you what you would do with your family because we don't know the status of your family. I'm telling you right now, I cut off my dad. I cut off his wife. I cut off my brother. I cut off his wife because they were abusing me and my wife and my son. And the response to that is, oh, but that's your dad. He was my dad when he was doing whatever the hell he was doing to get cut off. He was my dad then. And as a matter of fact, because he is my dad, he should have never even thought to do whatever he did that was bad enough that his own child would leave. Do you know what it takes to get a kid to let their parent go? That is the most unnatural thing you can think of outside of burying a child. So when a child goes no contact with their family, especially their parents, I usually don't start with blaming the child. There are some troubled people, but even then you can kind of see where those roots derive from the childhood, in which case the kid isn't responsible for their experience. It almost always starts and ends with the parent. Not every time. There are troubled people who harm their parents. Now, that is true now. I think the movie is called, like, there's something about, we need to talk about Kevin. Situations like that are unique. So I'm talking about the non-extreme unique situations. In the majority of cases where adult children cut off their parents, there's a reason. You might not know it. You might not understand it. You might not relate to it. But keep in mind, your perspective is coded in your experience with your parents that likely differs. As someone who has a wonderful husband who I love and adore and who adores me, my husband literally spoils me. He ain't everybody's husband, though. And not everybody's husband treat them that way. So when people talk about, oh, well, my husband hits me, or my husband beats our kids, or my husband cheats, how would I look as someone who isn't in that situation and is very, very privileged, telling them, well, my husband doesn't do those things to me. So don't leave your husband, girl. Stay forever. I will be wrong as the day is long. That is exactly how I feel about people who condemn Harry and Meghan about the choices they had to make. And I want to keep it very clear. I'm not in their shoes, but as someone who has gone no contact with a parent, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. It's unnatural, and it is a daily choice until it becomes a habit. And every time you remember that you've made that choice, it hurts like hell. Grieving a person still living is hard, very hard, but grieving yourself is even worse. And sometimes it comes down to either you or them. And ask yourself this: what kind of parent would put a kid in that position? Charles did. Thomas did. They had to do what they had to do. The idea that they should return for the benefit of anybody else is not only laughable, but it is very sad, because it shows that y'all ain't learned shit. At no point in all the information that has come out did you stop and say, God, what a hard experience they had, and it was completely unnecessary. They willingly abuse these people and their kids. And also, my video got cut off. I think I accidentally edited it out. But not just what they did when Harry and Meghan were over there. The stuff they continue to do shows that they haven't learned, and the people who support them have not learned. If I have to keep pleading my worth to you, I'm going to stop talking to you. When I went no contact with a parent because my parent told me I didn't have the right to ask their partner not to exclude me on a holiday that celebrates them being my parent. Their partner named their children and not the children that person came into the marriage with. And I said, my God, how hurtful. And I can't believe that wasn't something you noticed. Because I guarantee you, if there were a Daughter's Day and my stepdad was like, Sharion, thank you for being just my child, I would be like, well, I'm one of your kids, but I have a mom and a dad too, and they should be acknowledged. I don't just belong to you as your stepdaughter. I belong to them as my parents. Don't acknowledge them. I mean, don't ignore them. That wouldn't have even made it past me. So for me to just simply say, hey, this was kind of hurtful, and to do that in a very public way, to just completely omit me and my sisters, that was really hurtful. I appreciate if you didn't do that. Maybe you could ask that person, like, I know you probably didn't mean any harm, but could you not omit the children that I came into this marriage with? Instead, that person turned around and said, this is my family. You have your own family. Don't worry about what I'm doing with my family. I said, oh, surprise, surprise. No, I was actually pretty devastated, because that's a crazy ass thing to hear from a parent. But it was backed up by a lot of really, really, really bad behavior for years that I have looked over and forgiven and forgiven and forgiven. And finally, my therapist, myself, my husband, and the people who love me said, girl, you don't have to put up with that shit. You know that, right? So if anybody empathizes with the choice of an adult child having to cut off a parent who consistently hurts them routinely like it's nothing and expects you to just forgive because, oh, I made you, when in fact, the fact that you made me should make it impossible to do the things and say the things that you've done. My empathy is 100% with the child enduring that, because it is literally like a slow death, saying goodbye to a parent, especially a parent that is still walking this earth, especially when you've done all you can to bridge the gap. So I want people to approach family dysfunction that they are not personally experiencing with empathy. And if you can't muster that, then keep your mouth shut. There are people who experience a whole multitude of things that I cannot personally relate to. Someone was telling me about an experience they had as a child. They were molested by their uncle. Oh my God, it just tore me up. Especially considering the fact that my uncle Billy, my uncle Kevin, my uncle Donnie, they are three of the most impactful people in my life. Literally, the reason I am the aunt that I am to my niece and nephew is because they were the uncles that they were to me, and still are, except for my uncle Billy, God rest his soul. But my uncles, they made me feel safer than anyone, excluding my grandparents and my husband. My uncles would protect me against a bear and wouldn't think twice about it. My uncles love me to death, but that's my experience. So when this person is confiding in me that they've been harmed by their uncle, guess what I do? I shut my mouth. I don't say, oh girl, because uncles don't do that now. No, baby, your uncles don't do that. And you are very blessed and privileged, because a lot of people have had the experience she's describing, and you are isolating those people the moment you center yourself in some shit you did not experience. So when people say things like, Harry and Meghan need to return to the royals, how would you feel if your brother, your sister-in-law, your dad, his wife were totally fine with you dying? Haven't even said boo about the fact that you lost a child so that they look good on a balcony? Are you crazy? See, Harry and Meghan are way too nice, because there's only so much professionalism and dignity that I can show before I would choke slam one of these people. Like, at some point, y'all will be like, oh my God, she done lost it. Because I can tell you this, when I cut off my parent, and it was hard, I grieved cutting off a parent. At the same time, I grieved the death of my granddaddy. Talk about really hard right now. And some of the only bright spots was being with my husband and being on YouTube talking to y'all. Y'all share so much positivity and funny stuff with me that it really did make it not as hard. I was like the only time I wasn't consumed by it. Like, am I making the right decision? Maybe I'm giving up too soon. Baby, 37 years of mistreatment. You about 30 years too long. Like, you should have cut this man off a while ago, but until he got some act right. But the point I'm making is, because I can typically see I'm empathetic before I'm anything else. And that's gonna be my detriment if I don't learn to assert boundaries. And that's the process I'm in now. But the point that I'm making is, that is a very hard thing to cut off a parent or any family member, especially somebody you love and adore. It takes a lot to turn that page for a person who adores their family. I mean, the way Meghan talked about her dad before that stuff went down, the things she said about him in magazines, if you haven't seen her interview with Good Housekeeping, go watch that video and go read that interview. That woman said nothing but glowing things about him. She adored that man. And even when he was going through what he was going through, she led with empathy. Every time, and I hate going back, I rarely watch those parts of the episodes. When I go back and watch Harry and Meghan the doc, I skip past the kind of the rough stuff. But every time I think about how he treated her and how she probably felt when the other shoe dropped, when she realized this man really don't love me no more, or this man really is prioritizing other shit over my literal life, that harrowing emptiness that probably set upon her, I don't know that you can ever vocalize that when you realize your parent really don't care about your well-being. It's one thing to be having a moment. It's one thing to argue and be like, you know what, I'm a stinger right quick so she learned her lesson. That's a different thing. When you realize an actual parent is indifferent to your status on this earth, whether you live or die, that's bad enough to make you wonder if it's even worth being alive. I don't think people realize that, because your literal conduit to this earth is them. So for them to be indifferent to your well-being, it is unnatural. And it will make you doubt whether or not you should be here. Meghan's experience, the way that Harry described it when he came home and found her pregnant on that stairs makes sense. And it shouldn't have happened. And that was just one person. They were also dealing with everybody else showing up as the worst versions of themselves. For them to escape that once was literally a miracle. For them to even question if they should escape it twice, I think anybody putting that question in front of them does not care about Harry and Meghan. Not even just as Harry and Meghan, but just two human beings. I have enough humanity to say that I care way more about the livelihood of two human beings walking this earth. Whether or not it's Harry, Meghan, or anybody else, I care more about two human beings walking this earth and the quality of their life more than I care about a damn balcony. Also, I did want to point this out too. Trevor McDonald was kind of talking about the good Harry and Meghan could do as part of the royal family and how good it would be for the royals. But at no point are you asking, is it good for the people in under-resourced areas and underprivileged communities? No. It is a fact that the royals really don't move the needle when it comes to helping under-resourced people in underserved communities. They don't. And it's also a proven fact that Harry and Meghan do move the needle quite a bit. Literally, their online safety initiative is a big component as to why legislation is being changed when it comes to online usage for kids and social media all across the world. Literal legislation is beginning to change. I don't know that Trevor McDonald zoomed out enough to recognize the detriment to millions that he was toggling for the benefit of the photo on a balcony. Now, I could be wrong because, again, I'm squatty. I'm biased, but I'm not stupid. I think posing that question was for the sole benefit of the royals. And I think it was 100% with acknowledgement that it would be detrimental to Harry and Meghan, and he or anyone else who holds his opinion is indifferent to that, which shows me, like I said, they ain't learned a damn thing, which further amplifies my point that Harry and Meghan not only stay away, don't vacation, don't hit the red eye, don't pass through, don't do anything with the UK. I don't even want there to be any semblance of we might be back. Don't pack an overnight bag. If you have to stay in the UK for anything, don't leave the airport. Like, stay away. We had to get you here once. We will keep you here and keep you happy and safe. Please don't go back into the lion's den. Please don't. And I don't think we're in any danger of them doing that, because one thing above all else is those are two smart people. Like, we could have just did all the rest of that stuff. They are smart people. And above all else, even if they had a moment where they thought that might be a good idea, they love their children and ain't no way in hell these two people are putting their children in anything near what they experienced. Archie already escaped it once. Let's keep reading comments because I done went off on a tangent again. Y'all gonna get rid of me. Let me keep reading these comments. Hi, Benjamin Padilla. Benjamin Padilla says, actually, he would have been the perfect person at the time to make for a reapproachment of sorts. Too late now, but he can help again because Charles is leaving soon and more shit will hit the fan. You know what? Yes. But I love that you pointed out at the time. I appreciate that he shared this opinion now. But there was a time where his opinion here, this middle road, unbiased opinion, there was a time where that could have been really beneficial. There was a time that really could have deviated a lot of the hate coming their way, especially a person of his stature and especially where he lives and his influence and his audience. That there was a time for that. And Benjamin Padilla, I think, yes, you hit a great point that I completely missed. Now it's just too late. There was a time for that. He missed his moment. Hi, Joan Garcia. Joan Garcia says, Sharion, I also have a few narcissists in my family. I'm so sorry. Who blame everyone else for their misery and predicaments. I'm gonna tell y'all a real quick, funny story. One of the narcissists in my family, I love them to death, but I keep my boundaries in place. And something that they do a lot of is complain about their experience with the people in their direct orbit. Everybody is the problem. Everybody is the problem. Everybody else, the mailman, the UPS man, the person in the drive-thru at McDonald's, the person crossing the street with a garbage bag in their hand, they taking too long. Now I can't make my left turn. Now cars are coming and now I'm stuck here for another red light. Like, everybody else is the problem. Meanwhile, They are hypercritical, angry, searching for complaints, nitpicking to death. I spent an afternoon with this person and I saw how they nitpicked every single person who crossed their path unsolicited. I had such a headache when I left there. I said, my God, how do they survive that environment? I mean, everything. Why you got your shoes on like that? Why you got your pants on like that? You wearing that watch? Why you got your hair like that? I was like, my God, go look in the mirror and direct all that energy to that person, because that's clearly who you're running from. And so when I left, my husband said, so now when they call you complaining, just dismiss them because you've seen how they are in action. And I said, and see, there it is. I saw what they are and how they are in action. Narcissists believe everybody else is the problem. Meanwhile, they're perfect. They didn't do anything wrong. And when they do something wrong, it's justified because they had their reasons. The most nonsensical people you could meet. Hi, Avid Reader. Avid Reader says, Willie's ego needs its own sleeping quarters. It's just that artificially inflated. And honestly, yes, he should be sleeping in that egg carton. He needs to quit wandering out of that fridge. Hi, Colette McCullough. Colette McCullough says, the royal family couldn't stand the fact that Diana showed them up. Not you preaching, especially Charles. And here comes Meghan, a well-educated sister showing them up. Never. Absolutely. That's not even an option. This is all delusions of a man who just probably had a little extra time on his hands. Hi, Benjamin Padilla. Benjamin says, I agree with Sharion. I just said that. It won't change. It's right here in the comments. Absolutely. Oh, no. At no point are we under any delusion that those people will change. They really do just want Harry and Meghan to acquiesce. They want them to say, okay, see how life was like outside of here? Come on back and take even more this time. What they did not bank on was Harry and Meghan having actual influence, and it's because the royals are full of themselves. They have no idea what's going on in the world. They literally have no thumb on the pulse. They cannot read the public for shit. That's why their 2024 looked the way it did. Hi, Corlita Simon. Corlita Simon says, Sharion, say it loud and proud. I am. They're not going back, and they're not even thinking about going back. Absolutely not. And to suggest it is an insult. Hi, Joan Garcia. Joan Garcia says, those people are also steeped in pettiness, hate, racism, and jealousy, and have been for centuries. Also, my focal point has really been on the main four, William, Kate, Charles, and Camilla. But let's not forget Ford Fiesta and her glaring. She's so dang. Oh, I can't stand that lady. Oh my gosh. Let me shut up before I say something on camera I don't need to be saying to the public. There are very few people whose faces get on my nerves the way they do. But I feel like I've seen that scowling face, that who do you think you are kind of face too many times. I see it and I notice it every time. That woman is a miserable old coot and she hates her life. But the only thing that she wants to feel is that her life is better than the person of color. And it ain't. And that's why she mad. We've seen her. She didn't like Diana either. Anybody don't like Princess Diana? Have you noticed they kind of had the same enemies? Anybody don't like Diana also don't like Meghan? It's because sometimes your light disturbs people's demons. And I think that's exactly what we saw with Miss Ford Fiesta. So it's not even just William and Kate, Charles and Camilla. It's the whole network of soul-sucking, slithering beings. There's so much more. Also, I didn't actually come up with this. I saw somebody on Twitter saying this. You know, we talked a lot about what Harry and Meghan experienced with the royal family, but we didn't even talk about how they were probably treated, especially Meghan, by the staff. And yes, that is something that I have never really dug into, but the whole bullying thing, I have never once thought that had anything to do with Meghan herself. I've always thought that was, I'm not taking direction from a Black woman. Because as a person who was in corporate, I know that attitude all too well. I'm not taking instructions from a Black woman. I'm not going to be managed by a Black woman. Every single thing I asked of them was questioned. And it wasn't just white people. There were actual other Black people who felt the same. There was a Black girl that I hired and I liked her a lot, but she was very green. She needed a lot of instruction. She'd never had a job before. So I knew that was going to be a task, but I'm kind of one of those people that's like, things take time. Just work with her, show her an example, lead by example, and then correct as you go in a nice, gentle manner. She'll get it. But every time I asked her to do something, she got so irritated. But when she would go to the owner of the company, a white man, and he would back me up, she had no problem doing it. Imagine that. Like our offices were right next to each other. She would come to me and I'd be like, hey, do you mind cleaning out those emails before you go today? It's only like 10 left. Then she go across the hall, not hear him say, yeah, those do need to be taken care of. Yeah, you don't have to ask me about this kind of stuff. If Sharion said it, just stick with that. No problem. See, it's stuff like that. And she was one of many who did, or one of 3 who did that kind of thing over the course of my time at that company. I know what that's like. And you can't be polite enough. You can't be nice enough. You can't polite your way out of a racist experience. No matter how nice you are to those people, no matter how congenial you are, no matter how direct you are, assertive you are, no matter what you do, those people feel how they feel because they came in here with that bias. So I have no doubt that in the UK, working for the royal family, I have no doubt that these people question any and everything Meghan even thought she was going to ask them to do. And then what's even more that kind of backs that up is they simultaneously said Meghan was a bully, while every few months they come out and say those people had a whole different name that they were giving her, another insult that they were calling her behind the scenes. I said, okay, we can't have both now. Either she was bullying them or they were shit talking her. Because even if she treated them the way they described, which turns out was simply sending an email and telling them they didn't have to answer until their office hours. Not a text, an email. But even if she was a bully, y'all just admitted that y'all were calling that woman names. Y'all lucky y'all had jobs. If I call my boss a name, I would be cleaning out my desk as I did so because I'm no fool. I'll be like, well, my Uber outside. But anyway, you a hoe. Like whatever name I was going to call him, I would already have my foot out the door. I'm no fool. So the fact that every few months they love coming out with a new name, Duchess difficult, a tyrant in heels. Like every few months, a new article comes out about a new name that staff had for her. Mind you, she was only over there, 24 months? They came up with a whole lot of names in 24 months. They were busy. They got right to work. They said, oh, is that a tan face? Show your worst. And they did. So the fact that they call her a bully while then simultaneously saying how they were not only defiant and rude, but they name called her is always so crazy to me. That's how you know nobody with logic actually backs up the royal family. Nobody with a brain backs them up because they contradict themselves. Anyway, let's go to the next one. Hi, Church Nelly. It's good to see you. Church Nelly says they don't see the Sussexes as human, especially Meghan. They see them as commodities. I could not agree more. You are absolutely right. And the fact that that's even a question of like, well, you realize that this would be best for them, right? Why are we still talking about what's best for the royals? I feel like they forfeited any consideration when they decided to go on a racist and misogynistic tirade against Meghan and an abusive tirade against Harry. I never need to talk about the abuse that they faced again. I'll start and end with this. They pulled their security, knowing they were facing many credible threats and knowing that their location had just been dropped, and then didn't check on them for 2 weeks. Consideration went out the door the moment I found out how they treated Meghan before the wedding. But when I found out that little nugget, and I'm not even getting into the loss of a child, like none of that. The moment I found out that little security nugget, it was a no-go for me. I will never see those people as anything worthy. They're not even worthy of the air that they breathe. When I call them soulless cretins, that's why. That's why. Because let me tell you, I don't care how mad I am at my family. Their safety isn't in question. That's crazy. I've argued with my mom. I've argued with my sister. I've argued with everybody. Families argue. Safety has never been part of that. My sister and I have gone, a year without talking before? And the moment she called me because she needed something or she was, in a bad space or whatever, or her feelings were hurt or whatever, that phone was getting answered. Are you okay? Are you safe? Are my babies safe? Get it off your chest. Okay, back to my hiatus. Bye. Like, I don't care if I'm still mad. Your safety is not an option for me. So to hear that those people not only were indifferent to Harry and Meghan's safety, but they were literally integral components. They were the ones who set the wheels in motion to them being unsafe in the first place. Also, that they could feel like they were in control. The option to go back is not there. And the thought of going back should start and end with that. They were willing to let them people die to prove a point. Like, at what point is that okay? I want them to stop thinking of them as the royals. I want you to go sit in your easy chair, think about your parents. Think about how much you love your parents. Now imagine if your parents gave your literal address to murderers and then took the locks off your door and the alarm system off your house and then took the keys to your car and was like, just wait it out. Oh, I'm also not going to check on you for 2 weeks. Are you going home for Thanksgiving? No, probably not. Start and end with that, because they do treat those people like they don't have souls, like they don't have kids, like they aren't worthy of just walking this earth themselves. Okay, let's go to the next one. Hi, Avid Reader. Avid Reader says, I can't stand the thought of Meghan or her children having to bow and curtsy to people who have treated them with such disrespect and malice. They should never go back. I completely agree. I don't even have any notes on that. That's exactly right. They don't have to bow. I'm glad she doesn't have to be over there. I'm so glad when she didn't go to the coronation, because part of me wondered if she might. And when she didn't, I was relieved. And when Harry came up out of there with his hanger, I was even more relieved. I said, I love how equally yoked they are. I love it. More, please. Hi, Connie Balmer. Connie Balmer says, I'm glad Meghan is back doing what she loves most, and we are here to support her. I completely agree. Let me mute this so I can cough. Okay, I didn't want to cough in y'all's ear. But something that I'm thinking about, we're seeing a lot more of Meghan in her joy lately. Last year, we saw a lot, with their tours and their trips. We just saw Invictus. We saw, she got her Instagram. We're seeing them in a joyful state a lot these days. And we have been for the last few years. But these days, we're seeing things from first-person perspective with Meghan. We saw the beautiful Valentine's Day post. We saw her making cookies for her kids. We saw them again, the background or the behind-the-scenes footage of Invictus. We saw all of this stuff. We just saw the backyard. She's sharing firsthand. And I know that that Northwestern sweater pissed them off, because now there's 1,000,001 articles that are glowing about both Meghan and Princess Diana. They can't stand when people compare her to Diana, because they never could take Diana's light. So the idea that they're going to have to endure that again, they are quaking in their boots. But besides the point, we're seeing a lot more of Harry and Meghan in joy. Gone are the days of them sharing, some of the uncomfortable experiences. They've gotten through that phase. They shared what happened. They were sorrowful. There was a lot of pain. They shared their experience, and it was hard. But they haven't had their head down since. It's been nothing but joy. It's been nothing but up since then. Nothing but work, productivity, progress, accolades, acknowledgments, achievements, awards, and now joy. And I think this Instagram was the tipping point. I genuinely do. When Meghan announced her Instagram, she did that because that's what she wanted to do. She wanted to share more about her life. She wanted to feel like she was sharing more. And I'm glad, because her fans ride for her. And I love how she rides for her fans and supporters. But I think the royals experienced a big FU. I don't even think Meghan be on that kind of time. But I think to them, the fact that she has the gall to care for her own story, to carry her own narrative and carry her own story and be as confident as she is, showing up with no makeup, showing up with her hair in like a little ponytail, sitting in her backyard in the sun, and she's still glowing and happy. I think it's eating them up inside, because they know they did not win. And that's really all it's about for them. Harry and Meghan are just living their lives, and the royals are in one-sided competition. And I think that Instagram was the tipping point. I think seeing her joyful on her own terms is killing them. And I think in the days to come, we're going to probably see a lot more articles implying that they should return, in the same way that we saw a whole lot more articles about them divorcing. It's always something, right? The people got to pay their bills, I guess. Y'all could just talk about the work that they do. Y'all could just talk about the amazing effect that they have on people. You could talk about their initiatives. There's an endless supply of content for journalists and reporters to talk about the good that they do. Y'all don't have to resort to this clickbait crap. Nobody even wants to read it. Go write about something that matters. Anyway, beside the point, I think this Instagram is really what ticked off the royals. And I think they want to feel like they got the best of Harry and Meghan, because as long as they couldn't see them, they can make up whatever narrative they want. But now it makes no sense that they're saying, they're going to divorce, and here they are tonguing each other down at dinner. That don't make sense. Just them living their life negates all the narratives. They don't even have to respond to anything. And I also feel like Harry making fun of the divorce rumors and not being like, oh, it stresses me out. But the fact that he was like, oh, we're on our millionth divorce, whatever. The fact that he dismissed it and was like, that's beneath me. I think that kind of stuff pisses the royals off because what they want is anguish and pain. They want to feel like they're controlling. They're bullies. Bullies, that's how bullies operate. If I don't like that you're so happy, because clearly to be a bully, I'm deeply unhappy within myself. And my target is usually someone who has what I don't. Happy family, a mom and a dad who support them, nice backpack, the best color pencils, whatever. Bullies are just ridiculous, nonsensical people who project their pain onto others who they feel are weaker. Follow me here. If I can't control you, if I can't take away your happy family, the one that I don't have, if I can't take away your amazing matte pencils, the ones that I don't have, my parents won't buy me. If I can't take away your amazing trapper keeper, I'm aging myself, the one that the Lisa Frank trapper keeper that my parents won't buy me. If I can't take those things away from you, I can make sure that you're miserable and you don't get to enjoy them. So when I don't know what you're up to, I can make up whatever narrative. Harry and Meghan are miserable. They want to come back to the royals. They're begging for an olive branch. Blah, blah. I can make up whatever I want. But now it doesn't make any sense because we just saw Meghan in her backyard squeezing an orange without a care in the world. Now, when we say things like, oh, they're divorcing, but then Meghan's Valentine's post or Meghan's Valentine's Instagram goes up, shit. Kills that story. Now, when we say Meghan is unwell and demonic and evil and a bully, but then we see Aaron Korsh, her former Suits creator, her former colleague, saying, I would love to work with her in any capacity. The door is always open no matter what. Well, that negates that she's a poor work person. That negates that she's a terrible boss. That negates that she's a terrible colleague, because look at how her actual colleagues talk about her. In whatever capacity we can get you, I would love to work with you again. And every last one of them says the same thing. Well, you know what? We can't talk about Meghan being shunned by Hollywood when she's literally at dinner with Kerry Washington and Jessica Alba. We can't talk about Harry and Meghan losing their A+ status in America, their A-list status, when I'm getting texts from Beyonce. Kind of hard to spin that narrative when I'm talking to Beyonce, the most famous person in the world, is texting me encouragement. And even worse, the royals have to know that Beyonce can't stand their ass. Do you know how I would evaporate if I found out Beyonce didn't like me? Like, if I found out that Beyonce knew that I was not being my best self, like, let's say I do something mean to my sister, and then my sister happens to be at a dinner party with Beyonce, and she says, hey, you know what, Beyonce, I do want to tell you something. You don't know Sharion, but she wore my shoes and got mud all over them, and then didn't pay for me to get them clean. And Beyonce just knew that nugget about me. I would be like, okay, you didn't have to put me on blast. Let's go to the store. I'll get you some new shoes, but please tell Beyonce that I did that. Like, I would not be able to rest until Beyonce knew I was on good terms with you. That's how the royals have to experience life. Like, when Beyonce and I was going to say Beyonce and Harry, child, when Jay-Z and Beyonce accepted an award for the UK, or in the UK, and the only royal they acknowledged was Meghan, tell me how they not A-list. Tell me. They're literally working in partnership, not for, in partnership with the biggest streaming giant in the world. Please tell me why they would give a damn about a Spotify. They're working with Netflix. Like, get out of here. Every stone thrown at them, it just continues to build their amazing empire. Keep it coming, shit. So anyway, the fact that they are so joyful, but now they are so joyful and so at ease and so without a care in the world that they have social media, a non-heavily manicured social media, these non-posed and poised portraits. It's just them in their backyard, holding hands, kissing, hanging out with friends. We're so confident and competent and happy in our skin that we're showing you this shit. Because my backyard is better than every single engagement you had for the last 5 years. And more people care about my backyard than they care about what handbag you wore. I too would evaporate if I were the royals. I too would be like, now, Trevor, I need you to put out an article because they need to know we want them back, but we don't want to ask. Can you do me this solid? And he did. And you know what? God bless him, but it didn't work. Hi, Colette McCullough. Colette McCullough says, you can't move forward in the future operating on old rules. Okay, that's a life lesson. I might write that down. You cannot move forward in the future operating on old rules. Thank you. You better preach. i.e. Charles had the most beautiful woman in the world and ended up with old news with no change and no mouth looking like a beta fish. Girl, if I had to go home to Camilla, I would be mad too. I would be negative too. And he really loved that lady. They really love each other because he looked like Stuart Little. They are a match made in hell, and they are equally yoked, just as ugly as each other and just as sordid as each other. Let me stop. Y'all, I said I was going to start being nicer online. I said 2025 was my year of being nice. Meghan said this our year of joy. Okay, this is my year of being nice. Let me stop. But literally, doesn't Camilla look like a beta fish? If you've never seen a beta or a piranha, Google piranha and then go look at Camilla. And I'm not even trying to be mean. I promise. I know I'm a fan of Diana, but I'm really not making that up. Camilla is a very interesting looking person, and Charles looks like Stuart Little. If Stuart Little aged 100 years. Let's go to the next one. Hi, Sarah Smith. It's good to see you. Sarah Smith says Prince Harry is a real man. Absolutely. A real respected man with his own legacy. They cannot take him. Imagine starting as what people call, whoa, what side am I on? People call the spare. Only to end up this guy. Only to end up this guy with this. Like, you really cannot count people out. You never know where people coming from. When somebody is anointed, when somebody's destiny is unfolding, you cannot get in the way of that. That's why you treat people well. You don't hurt people. Hi, Joan Garcia. Oh, thank you so much for the super chat. Joan Garcia says, Sharion, as my grandmother from North Carolina in the South used to say, Meghan ain't studying them folks. Sure not. And you know what? Yes, my grandma used to say that too. Ain't nobody studying them. Absolutely. I could not agree more. Okay, y'all, I have talked y'all's ear off. We have a lot of commentary on here, and we did not get a chance to get to everything, so I apologize. But if you want to, feel free to put your comments in the comment section below so that I can continue to reply to them moving forward. But that is all we have tonight, or for today. I have talked y'all's ear off for 2 hours. I know y'all got a lot of places to be and a lot of other streamers. Please tell everybody I said hello. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video by hitting the thumbs up. Please don't forget to share so that more people can find us. And if you feel so inclined, please don't forget to subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. As always, thank y'all so much for supporting the channel, supporting me, and coming here to dialogue. It is such a pleasure to get to communicate with y'all. And it's even better when we get to do so in a safe space. So thank y'all so much for contributing to that. And thanks to the moderators for demanding that. That's all I have for y'all today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.